I've got the ability to really envision a future that's dramatically different than the present, and I also have the ability to design, successful alternative paths, quite detailed ones to get there. And I have the skill and ability to motivate, whole bunches of people to go from, average to excellent. So, and I like doing it. So I like transformation. I like vertical learning curves. I like big challenges. And I like challenges that require, getting 10,000 people to take one step to the left together and create an earthquake.
Helping CEOs and business leaders discover the energy to perform exceptional brilliance and positively impact the lives of those around them. Be inspired by world leaders and next-level gurus. This is the Active CEO podcast, where the ordinary don't belong. And now your hosts, Craig Johns and Ben Gathercole.
Welcome to episode 9 of the Active CEO podcast. We're back with part 2 of our great interview with Mike DeNoma. Mike started off telling us about growing up in the USA and his wonderful start into the world of business in the Amazon jungle. He talks about the differences between Proctor and Gamble and PepsiCo, and then he expands into the world of banking and being CEO of some major banks. He delves into what his strengths are and how he maximizes those as a leader. Going into part 2 here, we talk about what it's like to live in Myanmar, and he's got some wonderful insights into working with KBZ Bank, where he started, 20,000 employees did not have a job description. He discusses around developing values there and goes into some of his more exciting aspects outside of the workplace, where he talks about his endurance challenges and starting with Ironman at the age of 50 and now as a 62-year-old right into the swing of things in ultra marathon running. As we go to air, he's about to finish off a 238-mile Moab ultra run in the USA. It's a tough event over multiple days, and I bet you he's pretty excited to get home and have a beer after this one. All right, enjoy the show. I suppose Myanmar is kind of going through their own earthquake at the moment, with reforms happening there to open up foreign investment. So what do you see as some of the positive and negative effects for the people of Myanmar as foreign investment grows?
Well, the challenge for Myanmar is that it's been closed off from the world for 50 years and under military dictatorship. And one of the casualties of that was, two casualties. One, they didn't build any institutions, so it's quite extraordinary. But also, the country used to have a superb educational system that they dismantled. Right, so some of the best doctors in Asia used to be from Myanmar, Burma, or whatever, and they dismantled it. So what you have now is whole generations that haven't been educated in the right way, necessarily trained in the right way. So the company the bank that I'm at is where I'm CEO is, we've got 20,000 employees. When I came in, not one of them had a job description. Not one of them has ever had an objective. Not one of them has ever had a a performance review. There's not one standard operating procedure in the entire institution. No department has ever had a budget. It's extraordinary. I mean, you just think.
I would have to admit that Craig and myself are just sitting here looking at each other dumbfounded, so it's obviously a tough gig, so to speak.
Or a nice clean slate to...
Well, it's funny, I always say like vertical learning curves. I remember I was here for about a month. I call my wife back. I have a daughter. I have 6 children. The youngest is still in high school, and you don't move your daughters in high school if you don't want them to remember for the rest of their lives. But so I called my wife, and she goes, "How's it going?" I said, "Wow." I said, "You can't imagine." I said, no job descriptions, no this, no that. And she goes, "Well, you can fix it, can't you?" And I said, "I think so." She goes, "Wow, I never heard you say 'I think so' before on Transforming."
And Mike, how long have you been there in Myanmar?
I've been there for, I guess, a year and a quarter now, year and a quarter. So interestingly, now everyone has a job description. You know how hard that is? That's unbelievably difficult. So they all have job descriptions. We're moving, and I think but it's in some ways it's a profound experience for me because some things have happened here that I've never experienced in my career before. So it's a Buddhist culture, Myanmar, and the one thing about the employees, it's not their fault they don't know what to do because they've never been told. And the interesting thing is there's 100% non-cynical desire to learn, and I've never. And that's not true in the United States or New Zealand or Australia or Europe or almost any country. That's just not right. So they really do want to learn if you would teach them. So what we did in February this year is we came up with a mission, vision, values, and all the employees have signed up to become the bank that the country needs and deserves, which means we're going to have to become one of the best managed banks in the world. So they've all signed up for that. We also sent out three values, right? So 3 values for the bank, and there's 2 of the daughters of the founder, our deputy CEOs here. They're millennials; they're quite talented executives, and so one of them sent out the values we've agreed, and we came up with 3 to try. So the first one is courage, the Pali word, which is 2,500-year-old Buddhist word, is theti, so it's courage. The second one is perseverance, but the Pali word is called virya, V-I-R-Y-A, but it's much more sophisticated word than the English word perseverance because the Pali word virya has 3 types of perseverance. There's initiating perseverance, really the will, the drive, the perseverance to start at something and stick with it. And then there's overcoming perseverance, which is when you hit really just a real significant barrier the first time to overcome it. And then they've got sustaining perseverance. So it's pretty clever, right? I mean, the English word is one word. They've got 3 different meanings for it. And then the third value we put down was metta, which is loving kindness. So we check with this a Burmese professor at Oxford. He's a professor of meditation, Myanmar professor, and he's a monk. And he said we're the first country in the world that would have the value for loving kindness, right? So, but we wanted to make sure the employees understood. So the country has 10% of the population has a bank account, 30% has electricity, but over 90% have dual SIM smartphones. So it's quite an extraordinary situation. So our employees don't have email, most of them. I'd say we have 20,000. They don't have email. So what we had to do is we send it out on texts and things like that. They have mobile phones. And I think we only have 3,000 laptops, even in desktop. So one of the daughters sent out said, listen, this is the first time we've ever asked you anything. And this is very important. We want to know if you agree with these values and which of the values is more important to you. So could you please, we sent out Monday, you got 72 hours, please respond by Wednesday at the close of business. So on Wednesday or Thursday morning, I came in, and I think I came in Wednesday. It wasn't even over yet. And so I asked one of the folks, and I said, hey, did we get any responses on the survey? And the person said, yeah, I think we got 4,800. I said, no way we got 4,800. I can tell you in a Western company, you'd probably get 400, right? I mean, you're not going to. So I said, send a person in who was in charge of it. So the person came in, I said, we didn't get 4,800 responses, did we? And she said, no way. I said, well, how many did we get? She goes, 17,698.
It's amazing.
And they voted for loving kindness to be the number 1 value. Yeah. So I thought, okay, this company, these people, these employees are worth fighting for. I mean, I've never had anything come anywhere close to that in my entire career.
It kind of epitomizes the Asian culture where it is, it is more of a family caring type community atmosphere than what you probably see in some of the Western countries. Yeah,
but even more than that, I mean, Asian countries, loving kindness is okay. Loving kindness means loving kindness there, So this doesn't mean customer service, customer centric, this kind of stuff. So it's actually it's an exceptional value with exceptional sort of impact and import. So I look, just the fact they signed up for it, just the fact that they all voted. I mean,
it's pretty amazing.
And would you say that something like this is really adding to the satisfaction of leading this team?
Yeah, I mean, I'll fight for him. I mean, otherwise, this is go down to the salt mine every day and chip away with a fork. You know, I mean, this isn't easy. But yeah, look, I think the chance of transforming the bank is, I'd say. And then we've done a really innovative deal with Huawei, so we're going to do something that will be innovative globally for any bank. So that's pretty cool. So yeah, I think. When I started, the probability of success that I could transform it and we'd be the best managed bank in the world was probably 0, maybe 1%. I would say transformation is probably up to 40% probability of success. Best managed bank in the world, maybe 20.
Wow.
So 20%. So yeah, I mean, it's many miles before we sleep, but I mean, amazing. It's. Yeah.
Could you just describe for us what a standard workday would be there?
Well, it's a lot of meetings. So what we've done is we've created a general management model. It's called Value Center General Managers. So these folks are all profit accountable, and we even charge them a cost of capital. So we've got 20 of those. So there are very few truly profit accountable executives left in any company in the world anymore. So almost every company is functionalized, I think, to the detriment of most businesses. Because functional heads are not profit accountable. They have a cost budget generally. It's easy to make a cost budget. So the line businesses are tougher. So we've got 20 of these, and a lot of them are young, and I would say over half of them speak no English. And that is by design, because otherwise what you're doing is you're rewarding linguistic competence and not managerial or executive competence. So we just do simultaneous translation. So the day will be with meetings with simultaneous translation, because I don't care. I mean, it's my fault I don't speak Myanmar language. It's not their fault they don't speak English. And that's what I did in Chinatrust as well, even though I speak some Chinese. That's what I did at Standard Chartered, if we would in Korea or different places. So it's that. Second is, so what you have to do is you need to, the problem we have is that generally, even if we have executives, most executives are used to flying a plane, right? So the challenge we have daily is that if you get people to come in, there's no plane.
Yeah.
There's literally no plane for the function. There's no report. So they're sitting on the tarmac. There might be a wheel next to them, and they're going broom, broom, to take off. So now, because they're not aircraft engineers and all that, what you need to do is, what we're doing is we're building what will be a world-class target operating model behind everyone. So that has to go on, because otherwise the urgent pushes out the important. And when you're transforming a company, if all you do is try and fix the buckets of shit, you could do it a long time. And if you do the right things, what I have learned, if you do the right things in the wrong order, you will fail. So you need to cut down the organization. And what we're doing is we're building this world-class bank behind the day-to-day. So we've set target operating models to be best managed, say, in 10 years for risk, for HR, for the businesses, for finance. And then we've gap analysis versus today, and today we're terrible. But then we've designed 2-year interim target operating models that we're building to now that'll break the back of the full thing. So what we're going to have at the end of it, if it works out, is we're going to have really a fantastic institution.
It's some pretty incredible work that you're doing there. So we're going to change gears here a little bit. So successful people know that the more you give, the more you get. You have now raised more than $1 million for charity. Why is the International Centre for Missing and Exploited Children so important to you?
Well, I raised money for that, and I've been a director for that for years. The challenge I got involved with that is that child pornography on the internet used to be dramatically worse than it is, and one of my sisters is helping out the center, and and she called me and she said, Mike, this is really terrible. I didn't realize. So what happened was that because pedophiles are insatiable, they will pay any amount of money for imagery of children. So what was happening is they were putting this business online, and credit cards were being used and other forms of payment. And so what happened was then it was growing dramatically. And then you would have in some countries parents even putting their children into the business kind of thing. So it was just a horrible thing. It would even involve the rape of infants. So this is terrible. So what happened was they were trying to figure out how do they deal with it. So I flew into Washington. I was at Standard Chartered at the time, running the consumer bank globally, and I met with them. And what they were trying to do is they were going to try and make it illegal, or they were going to try and prosecute people whose credit cards were used for purchasing it. And what I said was, I said, look, it's not going to work. One, because there's a lot of banking secrecy around the world. But the second thing is, a lot of credit cards get stolen, right? So the issue is we have to figure out a different way. And I said, I can guarantee you there's no bank on earth that wants to be in this business. So what had happened was, just say you go, you have a fishing tackle shop or a fishing shop. You have a merchant sort of license, right, to use credit cards. And then what you're doing is you're using it for child pornography. So the challenge was, we set a goal to eradicate the commercial viability of child pornography on the internet. And this was a while ago, by 2008. I testified before Congress. We created a financial coalition globally of banks. The Standard Chartered employees dedicated the money for a campaign, and we shot the campaign. It's called Light a Million Candles, and we just wanted to create awareness for it. Light a Million Candles. I think we lit 3 million candles around the world, and it was like weeks. And what happened was we came up with a way that to stop it, and the way we did it was law enforcement takes a long time to build a case, and to try and legally close down these websites was difficult, and then they just move them. So what we did is, I said, look, you can handle it easier. And we had a way where if somebody identifies a site, they notify the central team, and then what happens is you put a credit card set to decline card, so you know the card's going to be declined. And what happens is the information comes back with the merchant code and the bank code. And then what you do is you notify the bank immediately shuts down the site for not adhering to the rules of the card association. So we effectively shut it down.
Very clever.
Which is great. Now, it's gone on to Bitcoin and things like that now. But I've raised money for all different children's charities, for AIDS orphans, missing exploited children, for all different things. I mean, everybody suffers in life, and as they say, some suffer maybe too little and some suffer too much, and it's usually children who suffer too much.
Yeah. So obviously to raise money, you did that through endurance sports. You commenced that at the age of 50. What was the catalyst to take up physical endurance challenges when many people have retirement in their eyes?
I was the guy who did all these Standard Chartered marathon sponsorships, around the world. So we kept, because it's just a good thing for business and all that. So we did the Nairobi Marathon, and the most I'd ever done was a 10K. And so we were there in Nairobi, and the good thing about being the sponsor is you get to go to the front at the start. And we didn't have championships or anything. It was just, a gun start. So I was up at the front of the starting line at 6 a.m. or something, and I bumped into this young guy next to me, and a Kenyan guy, and he had sunglasses on, and his left arm was tied to another guy's right arm with a little leather cord. And I realized he was blind. And I thought, Jesus, this guy's going to get run over on the start. Yeah, because everybody, starts, everybody's pushing and all that stuff. So I get behind him and, block, and all that starting pistol goes off, and boom, everybody goes running, and I get knocked down, and everybody runs over the top of me. And so then I get up, and I do my little trudge into the finish line for my 10K, and I asked somebody at the finish, I said, so how'd the blind guy do? And they said, oh, he won. He won the race. What do you mean he won the race? So I went and talked to him, and this guy's name was Henry Wanyoki. And he went to bed, I guess, when he was 19, seeing, and woke up some sort of river parasite or something, blind. He heard kids he thought they were playing in the middle of the night. So he went into depression and all that, and blind in Africa. So he talked with a bunch of counselors and all that, and he went to commit suicide and lots of things like that. And then one of the counselors said, well, he used to play soccer a lot and he run. He says, well, you love to run. Why don't you run? And so then his childhood friend started to run with him. And so I thought, wow, that story. So then I said, okay, fine. So then we sent him to Singapore for a marathon there, and he won the 10K there. And then I sent him to Hong Kong for our Hong Kong marathon, and he won the half marathon in Hong Kong. The regular one, just not anything else. Him and his buddy and Joseph. And so then he went to the Beijing Olympics, and he won the marathon for the Paralympics, I think, or whatever. 2:32 he ran. And so they think that his friend Joseph must be able to run like 2:15, or you know what I mean? Because
it's hard to find someone to run that fast as a partner.
Yeah, he's guiding them. So but long story short, so I remember when after that, the Kenya thing, I thought, Christ, if this guy can overcome blindness, I can overcome laziness. So I said, I'm going to sign up for something that I think there's no chance on earth I can finish, and I'm going to do it and raise money for preventing blindness, child blindness in Africa. So I signed up for an Ironman.
As you do.
I signed up for Ironman New Zealand or something. And so then I put endurance coach into Google, and Brendan Downey's name came up, right? So I think his thing was called endurance coach. So I sent him an email, blah, blah, blah. And he sends one back. And so then I said, well, maybe we should talk because I really need to examine your credentials for training. So,
those credentials aren't too bad, by the way. Yeah.
So I call him up, and his credentials are great. And I'm like, okay, you're fine. You're fine. He goes, well, what about your credentials? So he goes, so what's your marathon time? I said, I don't have a clue. I said, I've never run a marathon or a half marathon. I've done a couple of 10Ks, pretty slow. And he goes, so you're a cyclist? I said, used to love it when I was a kid. And he said, how long ago was that? I said, pretty long time. And then he goes, I'm afraid to ask about swimming. And I said, swimming. I said, that's my worst. I said, every 50 meters I'm blowing bubbles with those other little kids. So I said, can you train me? He goes, Jesus. He said, listen, he goes, I'll train you under one condition. I said, okay. He goes, you find the shortest triathlon on the planet. Okay. And he goes, and you train for it so you don't hurt yourself. And if you can finish that, he goes, I'll train you. So I said, okay, I'm on it. So I find luckily it's one of the shortest triathlons it was outside of Cincinnati. I have a farm in Kentucky, and the kids go back in the summer. So I had this little sprint triathlon. It was a 600-meter swim. It was like, I don't know, 2K on the bike, and I think, 500-yard run or some ridiculous thing, right? And so I trained sort of, and I arrived that morning for that thing. And they acted like it's an Ironman. They're writing this grease pencil on your shoulder and all that. And there's like 200 people, and it's a scissor swim lane. You just swim up and down the 50-meter pool 12 times. You just scissor swim.
Yep.
And what they're doing, they're dropping you in the pool every 5 seconds. So I'm like I'm like 100, and then there's a guy with green goggles that he had on for the whole hour before the thing started. His whole head swelled up. But it's the only thing I remember. But he's behind me as 101. And so they're dropping everybody. Now, I'd had a few swimming lessons, but I still hadn't quite figured out swimming, just to be clear. So the number 99 goes in, plop, this in a way. I go in, plop, and the dumb idiot with the green goggles jumps right on my back. So he jumps right in on me. So I have a panic attack, first panic attack I've ever had in my life. You guys ever had one?
No.
I've had one. Yeah, when I went to altitude and Boulder and raced there a couple of days after being there, and
they're horrible. Really good. Every molecule in your body thinks you're going to die.
Yeah, yeah, it's not fun.
So every molecule is going, you're going to die. But then my brain kicked in and said, it's okay, you can stand up, because I was in the low end of the pool.
In the paddling pool.
Yeah. So then I start like floating, swimming. And I'll tell you what's funny. It's 600 meters. The 100 people behind me passed me. and they're going in 5-second drops, right? So I'm just kind of floating along, So I'm in the last 50 meters, I'm the last guy in the pool. And I'm, halfway, I'm floating, a slight forward momentum, floating a little bit toward the thing. And my wife has had it. She's had it. So she leans over the side of the pool and screamed at the top of her lungs, "Why are you swimming so slow?" And I burst out laughing. Even in the pool, I thought, she thinks I'm trying to look like a complete idiot, Why would I? She thinks I'm trying to have this public humiliation just on purpose. So I finally get to the end of the pool. I get out, and two of my sons, they're both little then, and they run up, they grab my legs, and go, "Dad, you really suck at swimming." And so I did, but then I finished that. But then what I did is I realized I did suck at swimming, but I was really committed to finish the Ironman, because I just noticed with my kids, they would give up too easy, on stuff. They go, "I'm no good at this, I'm no good at that." I mean, geez, you're young, you're a kid, you can get good at it. So I did, I got good enough to swimming. I finished Ironman New Zealand. I finished an Ironman Hawaii, and I wanted to do it to show that you can be a beginner, and you can be terrible. But if you're willing to be a beginner and and struggle through it, you can achieve a lot, right? So that's what I did. So
that's an amazing story and an amazing achievement. But I also understand that you've gone on to ultra distance running. Now I don't understand that at all.
Yeah, well, so I did the Ironman, and I thought, okay, well, let's just. Oh, the funny thing. So the Ironman, my strategy was I'm going to be the most cheerful back marker. So I thought, okay, I'm going to be king of the back markers, but I'm going to be the most cheerful sort of love the moment back marker. So the whole sort of Buddhist love the moment thing, which I think really does work. Because I remember Brendan used to tell me, a lot of people DNF is because they set some stupid time thing, right, for their own, and then they don't hit it, and then in the races you go up and down emotionally, right? So then a lot of people quit, right? A lot of people DNF for dumb reasons, right? So I thought, okay, I'm just going to do love the moment. So I remember even in Ironman New Zealand, I'm back there pedaling away with the back marker and on the bike, and I'm going by cows or something, going, "I love you, cows," or something like that. So I'm doing this, going on. Apparently there's some woman behind me, for miles, apparently. And so she comes up beside me. Finally, she goes, "Will you just shut up?"
That would have been an Australian.
I said, okay, yeah. So what I did is I just kept going longer. So I did 508 mile, 48. It's called Furnace 508. It's 508 miles, 48 hours, Death Valley, up and down Everest sort of mountain heights, and then I did the longer runs, and so I did Spartathlon. I've done Badwater. I've done the Arctic, dragging a 175-pound sled, and then those are all 135 milers. And then I did Spartathlon's 150. I did a Brazilian 160, and then I did a 205 last year, and this coming up is a 238 mile.
And these are miles, yes. This is not kilometers.
Yeah, these are miles. And I ran the length of Taiwan, and different things like that. But I think what you find is that it becomes not spiritual, but you really are so far out there that it's interesting. So it is tough. It's mental, and you're doing it for kids, so you keep going. And I'll tell you, the interesting thing was I was doing this 508 mile bike race, and it was horrible. I got to tell you, you sit on that saddle for 48 hours straight, literally no sleep. hallucinate your brains out. But not only that, every shock in the road, and these are some really horrible roads, it goes through your body, right? So everything's killing you. So it's 48-hour time limit. I think 30 miles from the finish. I have like an hour and a half or an hour 45 to go, time-wise to the thing, uphill into the wind to get to the finish. And I lost motor control in my hands, you know. So I'm doing love the moment. And what I found in these races, it's the left side of your brain that you always just have to shut up, right? So the left side of my brain's like, dude, if you're gonna come up with something better than love the moment, we're stopping. You know, we're calling it quits because, you know, if you're losing motor control. So I'm thinking, okay, fine, all right, come on, right side of the brain, come up with something that's gonna keep us going. Come up with some way to, you know, finish this race. I'm thinking. And then I come up with it, and I motor on, and I finish that thing with like a minute 30 seconds to spare, the closest finish ever in the history of the race, right? And what I came
that's like for a 10K running race, like just about missing the cutoff by about 0.2 of a second, right?
Yeah. So, but the interesting thing was, what I came up with was that shut down the left side of my brain, made me finish, and makes me do some of these other races, is I thought, you know what? When you're 90 years old, laying in an old age home, shitting and pissing in a bedpan, you would give anything in the world to be on this bike.
It's a dose of reality right there, isn't it?
Exactly.
So I'm going out tomorrow morning to ride a 100-miler.
Yeah, there you go. But it's true, right? I mean, it's, you know, life is short, then you die. So come on, you know.
So, you know, you see life as transient and you feel it's really important to do whatever it takes to enrich your life. With such a creative and very complex world that you live in, do you use strategies such as meditation and mindfulness in your daily life?
Yeah, I meditate every day. I mean, the great thing about coming to Myanmar is, I mean, I started meditating a while ago, but, you know, it's Theravada Buddhism here, and it's a cradle. So I get up every day at 3:30. I go to a temple, meditate from 4 to 5:30 every day, and then I'll come back, do my training, and then off to work, and then back home and do it again. But the meditation is fantastic, and I think the interesting thing about meditation is that it really helps you be a better executive in many ways. So one of the most interesting things about Buddhism is it's non-theistic. It includes any religion. You can be Catholic and a Buddhist. They don't care. But you know, they just think things are unskillful thinking. They think everyone's mentally ill, and they think everyone needs to be better equipped to handle the suffering that comes with being a human being. But one of the interesting things is their definition of patience. And this is what I think is really helped me as a CEO, is that the definition of patience in Buddhism is the maintenance of non-aggression, which is really a good definition.
Great definition.
Yeah, because that's what it is. I mean, it's aggression. The problem, patience is the maintenance of non-aggression. Right? So
it sounds so simple when you say it like that.
Yeah, I mean, but as a CEO, that's probably one of the things that, you just have to be patient. You have to have quite a bit of humor, because, if CEO's having a bad day, everybody has a bad day. So CEOs aren't allowed to have bad days. That's just the way it is.
Yeah. All right. So, Mike, we all know that smart people have great answers, but the best people have great questions. When was the last time you did something for the first time?
God, I do things for the first time all the time, generally. So, let's see. Yesterday, I figured out how to start up a Delaware C corporation for my son's e-commerce startup. So that was good. So I registered that.
Exciting.
10 million shares kind of thing. I figured all that stuff. So that was quite good. On the training stuff, I always try to do something different, new, whatever. So those types of things. We probably put in the biggest training structure than any organization. So we put in this this different organization structure just yesterday for establishing 103 trainers throughout the country, which is kind of interesting, quite a different mobilization thing. I've gone to, they have this weird street fighting in a ring thing, Lethway, so I've done Lethway training here now as well. So that's, you're allowed to elbows, headbutt.
It sounds like an Ironman swim.
Yeah. Well, yeah, an Ironman swim's worse because they got guns and knives in their swims.
Look, Mike, probably one of the last questions from me is I'd like to ask you who's had the biggest impact on your career and why so?
I think the biggest impact on my career was getting married and having a family. I think, I don't know. I think men, well, at least me, I mean, just working for yourself is one thing, but, having to provide for a family is a different thing. So that, and then I don't know, I learned a lot from my family, my interesting kids. You have kids? Do you have kids? You guys have kids?
I have kids. Craig hasn't had that pleasure just yet.
But they're extraordinary, and a lot of my kids have a lot better qualities than I do, and you can learn from them. And my wife is extraordinarily adaptable, as you can probably imagine. So learn from them, and then you learn a lot from your employees. So I've had some good bosses, but I think actually my family, my kids, they just when you really pay attention, they have some really cool strengths and things you can learn from. So, and I've just had a chance to work for some great companies, great bosses, but really more than that, just great employees with some good cultures.
So, Mike, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you today. I've thoroughly enjoyed our conversation and seeing your resilience, your wide array of different areas that you've worked in, your knowledge as a business leader, and your real desire to make a difference in the world.
Oh, absolutely, and I've certainly enjoyed it, and I know that we could just go on for hour just listening to some of your stories and learning from you. So I would like to say very much appreciate your time, Mike. It's been great.
Well, no, the pleasure's been mine, gentlemen. Thank you very much.
CEO wellness tip this time is around being disconnected a little bit. It wasn't that long ago that we didn't have mobile phones, and now they're sort of attached to us like it's a critical third arm.
Yeah, we use them all the time, and our mind is constantly moving when we're using digital technology, and especially with phones, because you don't only have the visual aspect, you've got sounds, you've got vibrations working, and it's constantly distracting you from other things in life.
And also to add into the other component is the blue light. So you certainly, if you're taking your phone to bed and it's on the bedside table or whatever it happens to be, that light is certainly something that can really disrupt the correct sleep patterns.
Yeah, I think on average people will go and check their phone or want to check their apps, their Facebook, their emails every 5 minutes. And it's incredibly disrupting on our life. It doesn't allow us to relax. It doesn't let our mind recover as it should every single day.
Yep. And as corny as it sounds, Craig, that trick that you see in many households where you have to put your phone in the little basket at dinner time and family time, absolutely brilliant, simple idea. I think it's something that we probably should adhere to.
Yeah, I know with my wife, we don't take any phones into our room. It's our bedroom. They are left in the lounge, and we make a real point of that. It's really, really important. At the dinner table as well, quite often you'll go up to a restaurant, and how often do you see four out of 4 people in a family sitting at a table and they're texting?
Yep.
Well, hopefully not each other, but I'm sure they're texting other people.
Yep.
It's a real different social world nowadays.
Well, and certainly that basic skill of how to communicate and interact with people, certainly for families, is learned at the dining room table or in the kitchen, and to take that skill away by just incessantly using a mobile device is certainly at a detriment to our children.
Definitely. Well, it's been a fantastic show today, Ben. We got to speak with Mike DeNoma from the USA, and he's based in Myanmar at the moment. Yeah, we'll give that another crack, eh? Just go. All right, it's been a fantastic show today, Ben. wonderful insights and understandings around leadership and life from a wonderful man, Mike DeNoma, who's based in Myanmar, currently working at KBZ Bank.
Just incredible. Some of the things that he's done in his life, but really the thing that you can tell is just his passion and love for his people, and he really gets an understanding that it's about the people.
Oh, he certainly does. And he also, he's got that ingrained nature to take initiative, to show courage, and to really, as he said, right at the beginning of his career, he sent a letter to a billionaire.
Yeah.
And said, look, I want to come work with you in the Amazon rainforest.
What a way to start. Yeah.
And a lot of people feel, oh, look, there's no way I can connect with Bill Gates or Richard Branson or someone that is a billionaire or someone that's extremely successful, because they go, oh no, they won't contact me.
Yeah.
But here's living proof that if you just give it a chance, you never know, you might end up working in the Amazon rainforest for a billionaire.
Incredible. And then to come the full circle where he's at KBZ now Bank in Myanmar, and the values that he's brought into it, which is courage, perseverance, and what he was quite amazed at, loving kindness. It's really a full credit to him to bring that to a newer organisation.
Well, there's a challenge for every CEO and leader out there. See if you can get 17,500 responses from a 20,000 staff on your values.
Yep, just an incredible achievement, and you can tell already that he's really enjoying it, and he will take that organisation a long way.
And I know when he just scraped the surface when it came around his ultra running and his endurance type challenges that he takes on. What incredible. I mean, I would have liked to know a little bit more about what it was like to tow a sled across the Arctic Circle for 150 miles. I mean, that's you've got a place where you just can't see land, like it's ice.
And I particularly want to talk about his story about his left and his right brain when he was trying to figure out why he was doing this. And it got down to a really simple thing. One day you're going to be in a retirement village not being able to do this. So quite obviously this isn't so bad right at the moment.
It's all about living in the now. And it is make sure that the people around him are also living in the now, not just kind of wasting the opportunity in this short life that we have.
Sometimes the simple things are the best, Craig, and I think Mike really sums that up.
Oh, he certainly does. And, this is the active CEO where the ordinary don't belong. And I can tell you now, Mike is definitely not one of those ordinary people. He's extremely extraordinary, and he's touched so many people's lives.
Oh, we didn't even really get into so much of his charity type work. That was incredible. Some of his way of thinking around some of the real scourges in society today. Just incredible.
Yeah, it's about having, a higher purpose than just going for a run or just raising some money. He's really passionate and really thinks through it as around, okay, how can we change it and make it a better world for these people that are being exploited, that don't quite have the opportunities that many of us have in the world.
And really, to wrap it up, what a humble man.
Oh, extremely humble. Yep. And just an absolute pleasure to talk to. So we hope you enjoyed listening to the show. Really important, get out there, share it with your friends. This is great content. You don't get to hear from people like this every single day. So jump onto Apple Podcasts or Stitcher or Android, whatever you're listening to the podcast on. Put a review up there. Give the show a rating. Send us an email sometime. We'd love to hear from you. And if you've got a CEO or leader that you would like us to interview, feel free to drop us a line.
Look, absolutely. There's no harm in asking. And as we learnt from Mike, that's how he got started. And let's bring it on. Craig and myself are excited about this project. So help support us, and let's do this together.
This is the Active CEO, where the ordinary don't belong.
Join the Active CEO movement by visiting www.nrg2perform.com. That's NRG2perform.com. Share this podcast on LinkedIn and be sure to tag in NRG to Perform. Leave a review on iTunes. Drop us a line with your feedback and questions, and connect with us on the NRG to Perform Facebook and Instagram pages. Be sure to check out the next Active CEO podcast, where the ordinary don't belong.